I think there's a lot of conversation around ESG and whether that's around regulation and how we actually measure for it. But also I think there's a slight bifurcation in how different individuals or different blocks are thinking about ESG. So it's quite differentiated. So I think if I want to broadly characterize, I found with the European client base, it's much more, are we doing enough? Can we be doing more? And again, to characterize on the US side, it's very much, should we even be thinking about certain aspects of ESG? So I think that's one aspect. And then the second aspect is that I think the debate has started to move on just beyond pure ESG and distinguishing it from sustainability. So rather than just purely focusing on this tick box exercise, which I think it hasn't been particularly helpful, it's now really focusing more on sustainability in that kind of bigger theme and more on outcomes. And so I think for that reason, thinking about impact and thinking about outcomes is actually much more of a conversation that we're having. And we've touched on a couple of the issues here already, but even when we think about energy stocks, for example, now at one point they were really something that a lot of people felt quite uncomfortable investing in. And instead, and this is kind of dovetailing into the conversation with engagement, I think now people are much thinking about, actually, maybe we can invest in energy stocks, but I want a good program of engagement. It requires a lot more from asset managers, and really just focusing on how companies, especially those really large integrated oil majors, are now thinking about making that transition. That brings a whole host of other issues. How do you actually get the data to look at some of these metrics? I'm sure we'll get into that. But no, I mean, ESG is front and center, but I think the debate has become a bit more nuanced than it was.